So everyone, I want to focus your attention on something that we may have missed, that we may have not really looked at. And I'm going to be really short and quick. So Genesis chapter 1, which is one of my favorite books of the Bible. Matter of fact, Genesis chapter 1 and 2 are absolutely, without a doubt, perfect books, right? Because we didn't come into the issue that we have when it comes in regards to sin until chapter 3 of Genesis. But let's go to Genesis chapter 1. And I want you to, I'm going to kind of skip around. I want you to kind of flow with me just a little bit for a minute. Genesis chapter 1, starting at verse 3. Then God said, that's enough. Verse number 6, then God said. Verse number 9, then God said. Verse number 11, then God said. Verse number 14 starts off with, then God said. You guessed it. Verse 20, then God said. Verse 24, then God said. Verse 26, then God said. So now, I wanted to point out to some of you a pattern, right? What's the pattern? God tends to say something. And we know, he said, let this happen, and it happens. So he tends to say something, and whatever he says actually happens. It manifests, right? Also, God, he doesn't just randomly say things. He just doesn't just blurt it out. He actually aims his speech like a bow and arrow. He aims what he says to a specific thing that he wants to happen, to manifest. All right, so I want you to put this in your mind, write it down, whatever you need to do. Aim your speech. And even before that, I want you to put the predecessor to that. You have to say something. You have to speak, right? So God aimed his speech specifically at what he wanted to happen. Now, I can kind of blurt out a few things. For instance, verse number 6, then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, right? Obviously, he made waters. Maybe the waters were already there. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from waters. Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. All right, so let's skip number 9. Then God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place. 11. Then God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herbs that yield seed and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind. Right? 14. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, for days and years. Right? 20. Then God said, let the waters abound with much abundance of living sea creatures. So what's my point? God aimed his speech. He said something. He aimed at what he said, and whatever he spoke to became the source of whatever came out of that. I want you to think about this just for a quick second. God not only spoke, but he aimed his speech, specifically aimed it at whatever he wanted to happen. And whatever he spoke to became the source of whatever came out of that. It's a deep statement. For instance, God aimed his speech at the ground. He spoke to the ground, dirt. And he said, let this thing come out of the dirt, right? Trees, plants, right? Herbs, grass, right? So what's my point? The dirt now becomes the source of plants and trees and anything that's connected to the dirt, right? He spoke specifically to water, right? So he said, let the waters bring forth sea creatures in each of his own kind. So what's in the water? What's considered sea creatures? Like fish, right? You got all different types of fish, but they're all fish, right? So here's my point. The source of fish is water. So if you pull fish out of water, you fishermen, what happens to the fish? You removed it from its source. So anything that's removed from its source, it malfunctions and it dies. So if you pull a plant out of dirt, what happens to that plant? Oh, the rose is beautiful. Oh, it looks good. You pull it out, you cut the stems, you try to put it in some water, right? But what happens? You separated it from its source. What's its source? Dirt. So what happens? It dies. So let's breeze on down to Genesis 1:26. So God didn't speak in Genesis 1:26 to the space or the firmament, right? He didn't speak to water. He didn't speak to the ground or to dirt. In this one, God made a shift here, and he spoke to himself. So now God is becoming the source of whatever he wants to come out of himself. So he spoke to himself and he said, let us make man in our image and our likeness, right? And then he gave them a whole list of things that they can do. But I want to focus right there in our image, in our likeness. So he spoke to himself. What is God? Meaning, what material is God made of? God is a spirit, right? He's spirit. He doesn't have earth suit that he blew man into. So God created, right, out of himself, you. So what's my first point? You are a spirit. You live in a dirt house. This body, that's flesh, right? This is made of dirt, humus, right? Remember, he formed the dirt and he blew you. He blew his creation inside of what he made. He made the body. He formed that, but he created you out of himself. So you are a spirit. You live in a dirt body. Number two, he said in our image, right? Image is spirit. Also in our likeness. That simply means however God functions like, that's how you function like. That's what likeness means. However he flows, that's how you flow. Why? Because he's your source. He created you. And he created you to be like him. To think like him. So let's go back. What was he doing all before? He was saying stuff. And then God said. And then God said. And whatever he said, he aimed his speech. And whatever he said, it came to pass. So guess what he wants you to do? No, he don't want you to sit and complain and murmur and gossip and talk about all this other stuff. No, he wants you to speak to whatever you want, to your situation, whatever it is, to make things happen. That's how he operates, right? And we know that as being, okay, you know, we have to have faith to believe that there is a God, right? And in faith to believe that what you say can come to pass. Wow, how far have we fallen down? That's how God created you. So he designed you to function like him. Inside this dirt suit, you can speak, right, to your situations, believe what you say, and it'll come to pass. Now, the part in between saying it and then it coming to pass, that's our struggle right there, right? Some could be because of doubt, fear, non-belief, right? How can you get something if you don't believe it yourself? And this sounds very simple, but it's very intricate and can be complex if you make it. Because there's a lot of things to come and snatch what you believe and take away your confidence in what you're saying and deter you, right, from your goals. And so this year we don't need distractions. This year we have to focus, but in order to focus, we have to know who we are originally, right? Not who they say you are, but who you are at your core. You are a spirit. You only live in this dirt house. That's why when your dirt house, right, that gives you the five senses to experience this physical world, when this dirt body perishes or leaves, then you have to go. You as a spirit, because spirits never die. You have to go because now you become illegal on earth. Why? Because that's how God made it. When he made the physical earth, he made something from this physical place, which is the dirt, to give you a body so you can live in this body, this dirt suit, to experience this earth. This might sound funny to some people. This might sound like I'm delusional. This might sound foolish to others. You may, I got it. I get it. And so for those who get it, start living your life the way that God intended you to live your life. Find your purpose, right? Usually it's wrapped in your gifts, the things that you can do. So I want you to take this, listen to it 7 times, and let it get into you, right? Let it integrate itself into your spirit, and so that you know what God is trying to say to you. All right. So listen, this is going to be a breakout year. Share this video with everyone you know, and we're going to have more content like this coming. All right. See you soon.